Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Nice to meet you. Okay, let me introduce myself first. My name is Teresa. I'm one of the Ielts tutor from BEC Group. I'm usually in charge of the writing section. I handle them a lot. So right now I'm going to give you your feedback from the mock test. Okay. But before that,
Okay,
may I know a
Teresa.
little bit about yourself? Who are you? Could you please introduce yourself?
Okay, sure. My name is Daffa Faras, and you can call me Daffa.
Mhm.
And yeah, actually, I took the mock test because in 3 days I'll be having my test actually,
Oh my God,
and
3 days.
yeah, and I realized that my reading and writing skills is very weak, so I still need to practice a lot.
Mm, okay. Well, if I'm not mistaken, you got a 7 band score for reading. That's actually quite good. However, for the writing test, so your English itself is good, but the format of the writing is not compatible with IELTS, I can say.
Okay, I see. Yes, I kind of realized that because sometimes in a formal setting, I sometimes have difficulties in producing words and sentences.
Yeah,
If
I kind of realized that.
yeah, if the setting is more informal, like having a conversation,
Mhm.
I can produce words easily than to produce words and sentences in a formal writings such as the IELTS writing test, because I don't know, it's just very hard.
I see. Okay, so you realize that in IELTS, we should have used the formal languages, right? More
Yes,
academic
yes,
ones.
correct.
What else do you know about IELTS writing section?
To be honest, not much, because to be honest, my preparation for this is,
Mhm.
well, it's still, I don't think it's sufficient, because I also took the test in a hurry because I want to apply for some scholarship, but
Mhm.
I just got the information a bit late, so that's why,
Ah,
yes, that's why I have to take this test in a hurry.
I see. Well, okay. Before we see your result, I'd like to explain a bit more about IELTS, specifically how it is assessed. So you might realize you've done the mock test. You can see that the writing section cannot be graded like um I cannot say it's objectively. I cannot say it's subjective too, but it's more about quality instead of quantity. So we cannot just say like how many mistakes do you make or how many like good words do you use. We cannot do that. It's instead about the quality. So we actually have 4 aspects that we are going to um, like comply to when we're writing. Okay, this is both for the task 1 and the task 2. There's a bit of a difference in the first assessment. So in task 2, it's task response instead of task achievement, because they deal with different types of essay, right? In task 2, your main aim is to describe something. It's a report. So yes, of course, it should be very academic. It's better if you use like an academic language, an academic tone. So we cannot use pronouns there. Right. So for task achievement, this is basically how well do you answer the question. So it includes like the format, whether you chose the data correctly or not. If it's a graph, do you use relevant data? Do you present the relevant data? Do you compare them or not? Do you give overview? So overview is like the general view of the chart. And then we have coherence and cohesion. Okay, for coherence and cohesion, it's about how connected your sentences are and how is your flow of the essay. How is the flow of the essay? Can we follow it well? Can we follow it easily or not? That's coherence and cohesion. We also have lexical resource, which is another word for vocabulary. Here, we are seen on how wide our range of vocabulary is. So this includes like paraphrasing, using less common words, using different forms of words. Also the accuracy of the spelling, the formation, and your word choice, the meanings. Then we have grammatical range and accuracy. For this one, it's quite straightforward. How on point your grammar is and how wide the range of grammar is. This also includes punctuation. So punctuations, the use of tenses, the use of complex structures, how do you form your sentences? It's about grammatical range and accuracy. Okay, so these are the 4 aspects. As for the second task, the difference is in task response. So instead of how well you choose the data, whether it's relevant or not, it's more about how do you cover your argument and how do you support it in task response. Okay. Well, if you cover it well, like this one addresses all parts of the task, you'll get at least a 6. There might be a tendency to fully cover one more than the other, and there's already a position, a clear position, and there's already a more explanation from the main ideas. That okay, for coherence and cohesion, your paragraphs are efficient. It's supposed to be like that. Lexical resource, grammatical range is the same. So for 6, this is the same with the task 1. You'll have an adequate range of vocabulary. Like that. So adequate, it's good. It's not that varied. It's already quite good. The spelling is correct, so be careful with typos. And your grammar is also quite correct, with a mix of simple and complex sentence forms. So complex here is more like dalam bahasa Indonesia we say it's kalimat bertingkat, kalimat majemuk. Can we connect them like that? Okay, so that's the rule of the game of IELTS writing. Now let's go to your writing. Let's start with task 1 first. Okay, the first thing that we can immediately notice from this is the format of the writing. We have to write in paragraphs. We're writing a report here. Okay, this would be how it seemed. This is just exactly the same with what you've written. I just arranged it differently. So this is how you should have written it. Like that.
Okay. I thought it, I thought it doesn't matter if if I didn't make it into a paragraph. I thought it wouldn't affect the score.
No, it will, because we have the coherence and cohesion. It affects how people follow it. Remember, this is not an instruction. Especially because you answer one by one. If you made this into one big paragraph, it's still more acceptable. Masih bisa diterima. But because you make it like this is no paragraph. This looks like an instruction, which is not the aim of the IELTS test. It's about report. Like that. Okay. So be careful. First of, that's one thing that you can immediately fix. Second one. Okay. We have an exhaustive repetition here. So yes, this is a process, and yes, we can use connectors like this, but this is quite overwhelmingly a lot because you always start with this.
Okay.
Okay. You have to vary it. This deals with your coherence and cohesion. So how do you connect them? Using this structure will make it seem repetitive and monotone. So instead of that, you have to try to like vary it, connect it with like maybe the removed place is then transported to the mill, like that. Okay.
Okay, I see.
And then next, the structure of the sentences are very, very similar. It's always like subject, verb, and then more information. Subject, verb, more information. This is two. Subject, verb, more information. There's a bit of a variety, but especially in these three sentences, you can see how it is very similar. Okay. The next step, the last step is one thing like that. You have to vary that. Okay. In terms of grammar itself, I found that your grammars are actually quite good. Okay.
Okay.
Here, especially, your grammar accuracy is high. And you show that you can combine sentences like this, which is good. And there are also like evidence of how you change the word formation, which means you know a range of like how to utilize lexical resources. For example, like the transport here for transport to the mill is transported to the mill. So you know how to change the words based on its location, and that's good. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, but plus one, as you've said before, you realize that this is an academic, a formal situation, a formal writing. So we cannot use this. This is an expression, very, very, very informal. Okay.
Okay. Do you have any like suggestions on how you can end a paragraph? Because I don't know. I couldn't think of anything to like end the writing.
Okay. You can
Like
end it with
like a
a
closing
statement.
statement.
I know. I can see what you mean. You can perhaps use something like this instead. It is now ready to be utilized or processed further. That's all. So yeah. So for the task one, we don't need any conclusion. Instead, we have what we call an overview, general view or something. For this one, if you're dealing with charts or with maps, it's about like the summary of the chart. But here, it might be a bit difficult. So usually we will say how many steps are there. Like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we just say it like this. Overall, there are 7 steps to the process. Itu. And then we can also see the ship is alive. It's not dead. It doesn't look dead, by the way. Okay. So we can also note that. It can also be noted that the fleece is taken from living ship. That's it. Basically, any information that is not the steps, you put it in the overview.
I see.
Okay. Right. Any question about this one?
No, I think I get the point and my mistake. Maybe like you mentioned that I used a lot of repetition on the opening word of the sentence. Like,
Yes.
how do you have any suggestions on how to connect sentence
Okay. For example, this one, I will
if not
show it.
using those words?
For example, this. Even when we're removing the next, it's already connected.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have this, you refer to the previous step. You can try to read it.
Yeah.
One that I like to use is that to put the then after this. This we can do it like this.
I see.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. You can read it. Is it still connected or not, do you think?
Yeah, it's much better now. I guess.
Like that.
Okay, thank you.
So aside from using like afterwards, then, next, etc. like that, we can reference back to the previous step. Like what you did here. Another way is this. This is already good. Okay, the next step is blah, blah, blah. Like that. After we move the repetition here and here, it looks much better, right?
Okay.
So you can still use a lot this, but vary it.
Okay, got it.
Okay, any other question?
Can I have the recording of this meeting later, or?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, maybe that's all for this task.
For this one, okay. Then we move on to the second one.
Yeah, I think it's much worse than the first.
Actually, no. I mean, in some ways, you already answered the question, but how you arrange it is the one that is the trouble.
Yes, yes. I realized that.
This still looks like you're giving your opinion in a rubric. It's not an essay. It's just like an article. Popular article to be exact. So we have a certain format to be followed when we're writing an essay, right? Do you know what the format of an essay is?
Actually, no, because well, I don't have many experience in writing essays because
Okay.
yeah, actually I always had difficulties in writing this kind of essays because I don't get a lot, like my assignments from school or from university. It's in my major, it's very rare to get essay assignments actually. So
What's your major, if I may know?
information system.
I see. Okay. Well,
Yeah, so
your line of thought is already good. But yeah, so when we're writing an essay, the format, yeah, I'll leave it here. So the first paragraph is the introduction. The last paragraph is always the conclusion. So we have to have both of them. What is the introduction? Basically, you're like welcoming the reader. Okay, this is what we're going to talk about. This is the situation, and I'm going to talk about this. So it can be short. It doesn't have to be much. You can just like write 2 sentences, and that's fine. The first sentence will address the prompt. So address this part. Exposure to international media has an impact on the local culture. You just have to rephrase that. Say it in other words. And then the second and maybe third sentences, they will cover your answers, but not all. So only the points.
Okay.
Okay. So for example, I can give you an example like this. Maybe based on this. Okay. You can start with this. So this one is already good, but then you would want to like, this has impacted
The local culture. No.
people's lifestyle. Local people's lifestyle from all over the world due to high exposure to international culture.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. And then we address the second one, the second question. Do you think that the advantage of these impacts outweigh the disadvantages? You have answered this here. I personally disagree. Okay. To be noted, not unlike in any other academic essay, in Ielts, it's still acceptable to use I personally disagree, I believe, I think, that's okay. Okay, you would want to highlight it here in the first paragraph. Okay, so you could say, even though many people are alarmed, with the opinion and there you go, you got the introduction. Only that simple, like your point, your point, your point.
You make it look so easy.
Well, this is my job. Okay, now we move on to the body paragraph. What do we talk about in body paragraph? We elaborate this further, we explain this one further. So I say 2 to 4 because if you need to, like you feel like there are 2 points that you are going to explain very long, you can separate them. But usually, and when we're facing 2 questions like this, the easiest way to approach this is that, okay, tips. Paragraph 2, this will be explanation. Okay, there you go. You don't have to talk, think much about how to separate them. Talk it like this. Arrange it like that. Okay, you may question, what if we only have 1 question? Then you have to elaborate 2. So 2 points instead of only 1.
Okay, so 2 paragraphs for like 1 question.
Yeah, if we have 2 questions. If we have only 1 question, for example, like we are only asked about whether we agree or disagree, then you have to explore 2 points in 2 paragraphs, 1 each.
Okay,
so,
I see.
So you have to have at least 2 body paragraphs. Why? Because the body paragraphs are the heart or like the content. The rule is the content should be more than the introduction and conclusion. If you write a very long paragraph, only 1 paragraph, it will be exhaustive. It will not make the reader read it easily, right? That's why you have to separate like that. Okay. Then what about the conclusion? Conclusion can also be very, very short. You just have to re-say what you stated here in brief, summary. Jadi rangkuman dari sudah dikatakan. You would want to reaffirm your point. So you can start with, for example, and some. I believe that. Okay. Even though, okay, let's change it. Although exposure to international culture is blah 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 blah. It still needs to be going on, for example. Brings blah blah blah. Like that. So you just restate your points in brief. Dipadetin semuanya jadi satu. Do not repeat the words, by the way. Do not repeat like the same structure. Jangan cuma di copy paste. Say it in other words. That shows that you know lots of words, or a variety of vocabulary, as well as a variety of structure, and also will add to the task response. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. That's the easy part. Now, another thing that I find here, were you a bit hurry when you did this one?
Yes, because I think that it was 60 minutes to do the writing, and I spent too much time on the first task, so I didn't have I didn't have much time left for doing the second task, and that made me kind of did it in a hurry. So
I see.
yeah, it's a lot of typos, and yeah, I'm pretty embarrassed.
Exactly. That's why, unfortunately, typos will be considered misspellings. So lots of them will be considered as a fault. It will lower your score. Maybe 1 or 2 typos might be still acceptable if you're aiming for a 6.5 or 7. But especially if you're aiming higher than that, typos will not be good. I mean, like, sayang banget ya kalau misalnya nilai itu turun karena typo doang gitu. Okay, so you would want to be careful with that. Okay, the typo also includes grammar errors, unfortunately. It's supposed to be this international. Here too, and here globalization. Okay, this is a genuine typo.
Yes.
Okay, has affected. You know what is this?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, good. Right. Your answer is actually quite good. It's just not arranged well.
Yeah, I noticed.
Okay, you might want to do this and combine this together. So perhaps like this, and then so. Okay, you can expand this further. Okay.
Okay.
Another mistake that you made here is the way you present your example. The example is good, but try not to make it personal. So it shouldn't be subjective. It shouldn't be too personal. You can use it, but change it to like this. Okay, we know, like, one technique that I like to use is that making my experience the experience of many people. Instead of saying this is my experience, I say a lot of people experience this. Okay. Yeah, in Ielts, there's no right and wrong. They will not fact check it. Mereka nggak bakal Google ini bener nggak ya. Gitu. That's why you can lie as much as you want, as long as first it's believable. Second, it's not about you, it's about the people. That's why you can use it. Instead of saying I'm currently living in Indonesia, you can say as a highly cultural country, this kind of we will introduce with Indonesia. One of the example is how local culture in Indonesia has been affected. Like that. Tutor usually has an impact on Indonesians' lifestyle. Okay, the rest is good, except for my here. So avoid using the pronouns of my, our, your in when you're explaining. Use only I when you're introducing your opinion here. So in the conclusion or in the introduction. Okay.
How about we?
We should not be used to. I, we, you is like it's making it personal.
Okay.
In academic situations, particularly in explaining something academically, we will separate ourselves from the matter. Even if we're talking about our country, maybe our city, even our family, we should still separate them because we have to be objective. That's why we don't use my, you, or we.
Okay, good point.
Okay, let's change the neighborhood to in Indonesia. In maybe big cities in Indonesia. Stated. Okay, you can try out reading it again. What do you think?
A lot better. It's more readable, more, it really highlighted the points better.
That's the function of paragraphs. That's why dividing information into paragraph is actually very important.
Yeah,
because it shifts the people's attention. Looking like this, you can immediately find out which information should be found in which paragraph, right?
Yeah.
That's the aim. That relates with the coherence and cohesion part. So it's about paragraphing too, whether you paragraph it effectively or not, because it makes it readable, more readable for people.
Okay, so hypothetically, if yesterday I submitted this current paragraph that we have revised, what bands would I get for?
I think you can get a 6 for this.
Okay.
Because first, you're still using a very personal example here, and that this one can be explained further, and there are still lots of typos. If you can correct the typos, you can correct this. You can correct the subjectivity here, and you explain this one further, and also give your okay, this one's lacking the opinion.
Okay.
Okay, if you cover all this, and with this grammar accuracy, this kind of structure, and your word choice, you can get a 6.5. You want to aim higher? If you want to aim, if you want to aim higher, you have to incorporate even more formal or academic languages, both the structure and the words. Okay. Let me show you to one example then. Let's wait. Is it this one? Contrary to people's belief, getting a 7 is not that hard if you already know how to write neatly. And I mean neatly means like you know where to put your punctuation, you know, like you don't make kalimat rumpang kalau dalam bahasa Indonesia. So like apa ya? Sometimes people make like this they're writing like even though as one separate sentences, and that's faulty, right? Itu kan nggak benar. So, as long as you avoid that, 6.5 or 7 is guaranteed, I think. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, going back here. So I'll show you. This is an example of a 7.5 response.
Yeah, the first paragraph and the lastnya.
Yeah, not that long, right?
Yeah.
It's okay, nggak apa-apa kok pendek kayak gitu. Yang penting ada and on point. So masalahnya bukan di panjang pendeknya kalau conclusion sama introduction, but whether it's covered the necessity or not. Gitu. You can do it.
I hope so, because even writing this kind of essays in Indonesian is hard, let alone in English.
Okay, your English has potential. Just adjust the format. If you can follow the format that I've given to you, arrange it neatly, I think 6.5 is guaranteed. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's all of the review. Do you have any further question about the writing?
I swear I had a lot of questions before this, but I think it's already been answered, most of it. Can I ask a little about the other sections, like the speaking?
Oh, unfortunately,
just a little, like okay, that's okay, that's fine.
Haven't you got with the other tutor about the speaking?
It's actually tomorrow.
Okay. She will answer it. She's one of the best. Don't worry about it. Okay. Save your question for her.
Okay.
All right, then if that's all, I wish you a very great luck for 3 days, 1 day then.
It's it's actually on Sunday.
It's in 2 days then.
Yeah, it's the day after tomorrow.
Good luck.
Thank
okay.
you.
I recommend you to try out more samples tonight using the structure that you've learned today. Okay.
Yes, definitely my writing and reading it's more practice. Okay. Thank you so much, Miss Teresa. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Good luck.
Okay, wish me can I have the recording of this meeting later?
Okay, I'll try to arrange it. Okay, I'll tell you.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.